Good morning, everyone. So, as you can see, I've sort of changed my location this morning. Um, my office is way too cold when I don't have any firewood to burn in my burning stove, so I changed spots. But I was reading the transcript, and I'll continue to read it because it's a very dense uh, document. But I was reading the transcript from Brendan Dassey's March 1st of 2006 interview with police. Folks, I've gotten I think about 10 pages in, and I'm shocked. I am shocked by this. For those of you that haven't read the transcript and you've only watched the video, it's all the shit that happens before the video that's truly shocking to me. It's absolutely insane. Now, on March 1st of 2006, agents Wiegert and Fossbender went to Mishcot High School and talked with Brendan Dassey. And they open up the interview with Wiegert reading Brendan Dassey his Miranda rights. Why are you reading him his Miranda rights if he is not under arrest or if he is not a suspect? Nothing that he said up until this point to the investigators indicated a need for arrest. Nothing indicated probable cause. So why are they reading him his rights? Strange, don't you think? So then Wiegert goes on to tell him, we're taking you to the sheriff's department. We're going to take a ride over to the sheriff's department. And if you play your cards right, who knows? Maybe we can get you back as soon as we can. Maybe if you play your cards right. So they're basically telling him, you're definitely going to come back to school today. Okay. Never any time do they tell him you are not under arrest, but we're going to go ahead and read you your Miranda rights anyway. Nothing like that. Nothing. They never say a shit nothing about him not being under arrest. Then Fossbender chimes in with, we talked to your mom about this and your mom is okay with this and she's good with this. And she just wants to talk to you when we're done. So already they're full of shit. Already they've told Brennan that they've spoken with his mom and they, look at that. I've got my Casey Martinez version of Mr. Rogers' sweater on inside out. This is what happens when you've got 6 kids, folks. You get dressed in the morning and you're not even entirely sure if your clothes are on correctly. Did I put on underwear today? So they're telling him, your mom's okay with this. And I have a feeling that they didn't tell the mother exactly what the interview was going to entail, because had she known, I'm sorry, I don't care what you think of Barb. I personally think that she's a mom doing the best she can with what she's got. And if they had told her, if they had actually said to her in plain language what was going to be going on in that interview, she would have insisted on being in there. And in fact, Barb even states that she did insist on being in on the interview, and they told her it wasn't necessary. So Weir then asks Brendan about the jeans that supposedly have bleach on them from him and Stephen Avery cleaning up the blood in his garage, and asks him, whereabouts in the house are the jeans located? Do you still have them? And he says, yeah. And he says, whereabouts in the house are they still located? And he says, by the kitchen table. And he says, okay, is anybody home? And Brendan says, no. And he says, well, do we have your permission to go into the house and get those jeans? And Brendan says, yes. Brendan's under 18. He doesn't have the legal right to give permission to the police to go into the house and get those jeans. Where the fuck is your search warrant? You need a warrant. I know that if a defendant, if somebody hands over evidence to you voluntarily, that's admissible in court. But you specifically went to Brendan to get that fucking piece of evidence because you knew that you couldn't get a fucking warrant. You. So this whole conversation about the jeans is taking place in the car on the way to the sheriff's department. And they decide to go with Brendan to his house to go and get the jeans. They're driving up the driveway, and Uyghur cracks a joke. He's asking Brendan about getting his driver's license. And he says, yeah, but, then I have to get a car. And they're on the Avery property at this point. And Uyghur jokes, I'm sure you could find a car somewhere out here. At which point, Fossbender laughs. I don't find that a particularly funny joke, do you people? Or did they already fucking know something that none of us have confirmation of? Then, and I had to take a picture of this on my phone because it was just too detailed for me to write down. And no, I don't have a printer that works right now. Then Uyghur takes a call on his phone and he says, hey, Wendy, it's Mark. Can you go up by John? He's not answering his cell phone. I left him a voicemail, an important voicemail. I described everything on there. I can't talk about it right now, and then he pauses and then he says, okay, as soon as he's back up, because we got that stuff. You guys don't need to pick those jeans up. We picked them up at Brendan's house. Brendan gave us permission to go get him. He's with us right now, so I pretty much got everything on his voicemail. Tell him to listen to his cell phone voicemail, and if you guys got any questions, call me back. So what couldn't he talk about in front of Brendan if it was just about the jeans? Anybody? Fossbender? Uyghur? What could you not talk about if it's just about the jeans? So they get into the sheriff's department and Uyghur begins with, honesty is the only thing that will set you free. So he's basically telling him, tell us what we want to hear, and we're going to go ahead and let you go. He then tells him, we pretty much know everything. That's why we're talking to you. That kind of a statement to a 16-year-old. You tell him that and he's just like, okay, well, shit, what the fuck do they know? And if I'm already up shit creek without a paddle, there's no hope. Brendan said that at some point, Stephen called him at about 6 or 6:30 and said that he needed his help with car repair. He said he got home at 3:45 and saw Teresa outside on the porch talking to Steve. This bears out with Stephen Avery's statement, which says that she went, took pictures of the car, and then came up to the house to get her money, and then she left. So when Brendan Dassey got off the school bus, his initial statement to police was that he got off the school bus and he walked home, and going into his house, he saw Teresa Hallbach on the porch talking with Stephen Avery, and she was alive. This is very contradictory to his statement that later on in the interview, that when he got home, he got the mail and then went to Stephen Avery's house to take him a piece of mail and heard screams as he walked up. This is very, very different. And prior to this statement, that had been his statement to police for a while, through several interviews at that point. So, folks, a story doesn't change that drastically inside of an hour after several interviews if it's the truth. It doesn't. It does not. That's a sign of coercion. We're going to talk more about Brendan Dassey's March 1st statement in the very next video. Thank you for watching.